hello, hello. Today is February 10th, 2024. It is time for Norm Winski. Norm, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I was last on your show on January 22, and we had some things happening right around there. And for the next week or so, I gave some forecasts coming up that week. The weekend of the 19th, that was right before the 22nd, we had Pluto changing signs, that only geocentrically from the point of view of the Earth. And then that Monday, that night, we had heliocentric Pluto changing signs, and they both Aquarius, and Pluto is a 248-year cycle. So that's kind of a big deal that Pluto only changes signs on average about every 20 years. So the markets we said we'd be looking at are cattle, cocoa, copper, cotton, hogs, and T-bonds. And that's for both those points there. And then the night of the 22nd, that was a Monday, Mercury 0 south latitude, that's for grains. By the way, stocks potentially respond to all events, so I don't even bother putting them in, just assume the stock market potentially could respond to any of these points. And then the night of the 23rd, Pluto to the U.S. chart. Anytime we have the U.S. natal chart, what is that? That's where the planets were when the country was founded on the 4th of July, 1776. Anytime we had the planets line up with that, we have to look at stocks, T-bonds, U.S. dollar. And then the afternoon of the 25th, we had a full moon in the sign of Leo. Leo has, anytime we have a full moon, we look at financials, grains, precious metals, oil, and then also that would normally include corn and gold, but now we're going to emphasize corn and gold because the sign Leo is associated with corn and gold. We have the full moon in Leo. So we get double points, plus or minus, for corn and gold based on what happened then. Then we have Jupiter lining up again with the U.S. chart for stocks, T-bonds, U.S. dollar, and the weekend of the 26th into Monday, 26th, and then also that weekend we had Uranus in Taurus, the bull, turning direct for cattle, copper, and cotton. So here we go. Here's the first chart, corn. We went sideways on our first point there for the grains for corn, but our moon in Leo, our full moon in Leo right there, we get double points for that for corn right on the afternoon of the 25th. That was a pretty nice top there, as you can see, and corn dropped about 450 to about 430 area, about 50 cents. That's $2,500 there on corn. Soybeans not so friendly. We were 1 to 2 days early on the beans on the Mercury point there, and then over here on the full moon we were a day late. So those two strikes on the beans. Red is a miss. Green is good. Green means you had a chance to make some money. If you see yellow, that's because the market was going sideways, and we don't. That's a pass. We don't do sideways. Here again, wheat was a little early on our Mercury point, but here on the full moon, we nailed the high of the month, I believe, and there you go. Here's cattle, up. We had the 2 points here for cattle, the 19th weekend into the 22nd for the 2 Pluto points. Market's going sideways, so we do nothing. Market rallied into that Uranus in Taurus direct point, and that was a little short-term top there. It doesn't look like it much, but I think it was good for about a handle or so, maybe two handles. Every handle in cattle is $400, so you had a chance to make a little bit of money there. Here's cotton, went 50-50 on the Pluto point. You had a chance to make some small money there. And then over here, though, when Uranus turned direct in Taurus, that was a really nice low there. As you can see, that led to a very big rally in cotton. Here's cocoa. We've got a complicated situation here with cotton because the charting, I have these charts updated as of Friday's close, and cocoa is now broken out over a 47-year all-time high. This is probably one of the biggest rallies. It probably is the biggest and fastest rally ever in the history of cocoa trading. As you can see here, we're down here in the 40s, and now we're over 60 in just a couple weeks. It's unbelievable. And anyway, because of that, it squished my bars over here. So I took a little insert there and blew it up for you so you can see what happened to her back over the weekend, the 19th into the 22nd. And the first point there was a high, and then they were kind of going sideways, so we took a pass. It was not clear what you would do there with the closing bar right in the middle of the bar there, so we took a pass. So you had one winner there. Anyway, thought I'd point out, if you want to learn the markets, even if you're not trading that market, you want to pay attention to when some markets going. This thing's going almost parabolic now, so it's a lesson in market history. So you might want to pay attention to that. Here's hogs. Hogs going sideways into the first half of the Pluto window there, and then it pulled down into the afternoon, and so that was a low. And as you can see, you had a huge rally there in hogs. I guess back here, hogs found their trough. That's Jeff. That's a little hog joke there. Okay, copper. We rallied into the first half of the Pluto window there, and then you pulled down into the second half of the window, high, low, and then big rally. Then it pulls back into the Uranus point there, and another low, and so you did really well in copper. Copper, money-wise, price-wise, is a beast. Every penny in copper is $250. I think you have here from there down to there is about 10 cents. That's $2,500 right there. So you can see this is huge money swinging around here on the copper chart. Here's silver. Had a short-term top there, a little pullback there. I think for maybe about 40 cents, 20. We'll be conservative, call it 20 cents. That's $1,000 on the silver chart. Here's gold. You're making your low there. I think, Jeff, you said you did a trade here and made some money, if I'm not mistaken. And we made a low there, and you get the double points there for gold with the full moon in Leo. And as you can see, that was a very nice low there in gold. And there we go. Here's crude oil, 1 to 2 days early, so that's a miss. And S&P's been tough trading lately with the stair-step price action. It moves for a day or two and then goes sideways. And so there we go. We had but that was right after a rally. So those are Pluto points, 2 Pluto points. So you might have gone short there. That's a miss, and then here also a miss, and probably should have called that a pass. That's the way I got it marked off. And so, but we did have a nice little short-term top there. I think it was about a 60 handle drop there, and then you had a little smaller one top there for maybe about a 40 handle drop there for making some money there. And then we were just going sideways, so we had the 2 points there for double pass on the same date. Bonds are probably the friendliest market of all in this period. You made a low there, you made a high there on the 2 Pluto points. Our U.S. point there was near the low, and there's the full moon, so 4 points for green points, good points for T-bonds. We had the U.S. point there for a nice drop, and then back up for the full moon, and a little short-term top there for the dollar. And here's your currencies. You dropped into the British pound there, and it popped up, so you had a chance to make some money. Canadian dollar was near a nice low there and a big rally. The euro was in a short-term low there and popped up, so you could have made some money there. If we add up the green arrows and red arrows, we got 25 winners, 8 misses out of 33 for 75.76%. Okay, just a little recap here now. I didn't have this as a forecast, so we'll call this ex officio, unofficially. But I've been doing this chart for 45 years or more, where I draw this blue line in advance of the month, and then I overlay the black bars. And as you can see, this goes from January 2nd through February 2nd, and you can see there's a whole course here of these little marks I have here, different planetary events. That's a new moon. You see I made a short-term top there, and here's my Mercury point there, and you made a little low there, and so forth, So there's a whole class there just on that chart. And pretty good. I'd say about 80-85% correlation. That was pretty good. All right, so now we got what's coming up here over the next few days. Over the weekend here, the weekend of the 9th, we have a new moon in Aquarius, and it's not just any new moon, it's a new moon at perigee. This only occurs about every 14 months when the full moon, new moon lines up, will be, in this case, the new moon lines up with perigee. What is perigee? As the moon goes around the Earth in about that's a 29.5 day cycle, but the apogee perigee is on a whole different rhythm of about 25 days. As it's not a circle, it's the ellipse. So there's a point where the moon is closest to the Earth, and there's a point where it's farthest from the Earth. Perigee is closest, so you have both the new moon and the perigee converging at the same time. That only occurs every 14 months. More gravitational pull on the Earth, and I don't know all the physics involved, but it tends to be more powerful then. Anytime we have a new moon, full moon, financial range, precious metals, oil, and because it's in the sign of Aquarius, we are emphasizing copper. As a matter of fact, there's a bit of a copper, a bit of a copper theme here now. With Monday night, the 12th, we'll have geocentric from the point of view of the Earth, Mars entering the sign Aquarius. Again, that's copper. And then the night of the 13th, the Venus zero south latitude. That's all these Venus markets, which includes copper. So there we go. Now for the really fun stuff. Once a year in February, I do what I call my February Forecast for Fun Fest in my monthly letter. And I go over some of these are fun just for fun, and others are actually have some merit and can be useful, you know. Okay, so this right now, today, Saturday the 10th, this is the Chinese New Year, and the Chinese, you might know, have the astrology tied to their 12-year cycle, and every year is a different creature. And last year it was a rabbit, and the rabbit was forecasting an up year for the stock market, and we got that. We were up 24%, I think, something like that, where it's on here somewhere. And there we go. S&P closed up the year up 24.2%. And this year it's the dragon, the year of the dragon, and that's also, I guess, a positive omen for the year. And on the Chinese zodiac, I get all this off the internet. I really don't know Chinese astrology, but anyway, this is kind of a fun thing I do. Last year, the rabbit was really good on the stock market, but they also said that it was supposed to bring more peace around the world, and the rabbit struck out on that front. You know, I think we had an increase in world tensions over the past year. All right, then we got the two things we're going to look at now, which these things actually have a good track record. There's something called the January barometer, the old Wall Street adage, as January goes, so goes the year. So if you have an up January, you're supposed to have an up year. If you have a down January, you're supposed to have a down year. And I think the track record on that is about 75%. There was a period there for about 100 years that it worked almost every year for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And so the S&P, I think, is now superseded the Dow Jones in terms of being a good barometer for the market and actually more popular indicator for the stock market. So we got now so last year forecast up here we had 24.2%. This year we're for January we're up 1.59% for the month, and that indicates that we should have an up year for 2024. And I've also taken this a step further in that as I plot this on the chart over for the year, you have turning points, and those turning points in the past have given you forecasted good turning points for the year. Now, because we also have something called the Super Bowl indicator, where this is unbelievable, but it works. It's somewhere in the range of 75 to 80% accurate. Since the beginning of the Super Bowl, I think 1967, somebody noticed that when the NFL is subdivided into two conferences, you got your NFC as the National Football Conference and the AFC, American Football Conference, and the two champions of those conferences meet in the Super Bowl. If the NFC team wins, that's bullish for the stock market. It means you should have an up year. If the AFC team wins, that's bearish. That means the market should be down for the year. And guess what? Now, if you combine, you say, well, look, these two markets forecast the same thing, but we know what the model is saying by the end of January for the January barometer. That means maybe we can forecast the Super Bowl because it should agree a high percentage of time with the January barometer. So that means the NFC team should win this year, which is the San Francisco 49ers, and that's tomorrow night on the 11th. We'll find out if this is going to be the case or not. All right, now looking ahead, I mentioned fractals. I didn't mention fractals, but actually the January barometer is a fractal chart, and that you're taking a small piece of the year and extrapolating it out for the year. And so I do fractals for 28 different markets. Here's a sample from last year of a fractal. I do these blue lines every February based on the January price action, and you can see here's the blue lines. That was the forecast for the year for this is natural gas, and you can see that the black bars follow that pretty nicely. So if you're interested in that, I'll be publishing that here in the next day or two. It's on my list of things to get done this weekend. And contact me if that looks like it might be of interest to you. Do it for 28 markets, including the S&P, T-bonds, dollar, the financials, and most of the major commodities. I've been doing this stuff for a long, long time, going as a floor trader, starting back on the CBOE and Board of Trade, started back in 1975 in Chicago there. And so I've studied all these methodologies, GAN, Elliott Wave, astrophysics. I have a background in music, Fibonacci, all this stuff. I can take it very far in a very short amount of time because I know how to boil things down to their essence. So get a hold of me if you'd like any help or an explanation or anything I've said today. Here's my contact. I'm in beautiful Naples, Florida. You can call me 239-594-3939. You can email me at nwinski@yahoo.com, or you can call me on Skype at nwinski@yahoo.com. Looking forward to helping some of the folks there, Jeff.
Okay, real good. We'll see you back in a couple of weeks, Norm. A nice 75% right in your normal range, and we'll check your dates.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Everybody have a great week.
Okay,
Look
bye.
forward to hearing from you soon.